first reading and the gospel today both give us the same very clear message. We are to love God with all our heart, all our soul, and with all our strength. Easy to say that, I suppose, but how do we actually do it? How do we live that out as individuals and as a parish community? How do we show such great love to God? At St. Peter, our mission, clearly, everybody knows it, is to love God, love others, and make disciples. We love God by loving others and making disciples. Love is a verb. Love is the reciprocal part of that concept of free will. Love is a personal responsibility issue. Love is the commandment. As a church, the Roman Catholic Church, we appear to have lost our way on the third part of that equation, the call to make disciples. And sadly, too, we have also lost our moral authority in the world in the last 20 years. And this struggle to regain that moral authority role after the scandal that our leadership created is going to take centuries. Meanwhile, the world that we live in cries out for guidance. At least we know in the United States it does. It's a long road ahead of us. We are called, though, to be a missionary church, and here at St. Peter, we're taking that call seriously. Back in the day, I'm 60 years old, way back in the day, when I was nothing more than a TV remote for my dad, we used to talk about Holy Mother Church, right? That phrase seems to have been dying off in the last few decades. But whenever I hear the phrase Holy Mother Church, I think of the church as an extension of my own mother. And if your mom wasn't as wonderful as my mom, I'm sorry. But that's the way I think of the church, with great love and affection when I hear the phrase. And because it reminds me that I am a part of the church, and the church is part of me. If you will think about that phrase for the next 3 weeks and try to get here to St. Peter to hear this message in its entirety, because it may not come off as real positive at the beginning, we will discuss why the church, your church, Holy Mother Church, needs us to take better care of her. She is fragile. And so begins our 3-week series called Take Care of Your Mother. We're going to have a little update on Dear Mom's state of health, where we stand as a church, how we at St. Peter are trying to improve the well-being of our Holy Mother, the church, and what all of us can do to help. So for starters, let's look at some demographics. No kidding. Many people in church today, many of you, are baby boomers born after World War II through the early 1960s. I'm the tag end of the baby boomers. They call these demographic waves because on the flat C of a normal birth rate, these eras of really high birth rates, like after World War II when all the soldiers came back, these eras of really high birth rates or higher than average stand out and have a tendency to affect society more dramatically because they all age together as, well, I guess I should be going chronologically this way, right? They call these outliers, those booms in population. And as this baby boomer generation grew up, everything they thought or did had a major impact on society, bigger than normal. So when we were kids, everything on TV was focused on us and our interests. All the shows promoted our favorite cereals, toys, games. We got what we wanted. So from Slinkies to Twinkies, whatever we wanted became the thing to have. And then what happened? They became teenagers, and the world changed again. It wasn't so pretty, except the short shorts and the Beatles, okay? And sadly, now the commercials are all about what? Drugs. To take your blood pressure down and lower your cholesterol, right? Anyway, baby boomers are 77 million people strong. That boom, that big generational shift, right? And why is this important to Mother Church? Because 60% of Catholic baby boomers actually show up. They're practicing Catholics. You're practicing Catholics. Over 13 million Catholics who go to church from that baby boomer crowd. Baby boomers are followed by the Gen Xers, who are 65 million strong. They're younger. And the Gen X crowd, they don't like church as much. And if you're a Gen Xer in here, or a millennial that we're going to talk about, good for you, okay? But they, as a generation, call themselves spiritual, but many of them have rejected the idea of organized religion. They believe that they can get closer to a higher power on their own, on a mountaintop, or at the beach. They don't need a church to find God. Well, that's a discussion for another day and another homily. And I'd love to give that homily to them, but they don't come in here, remember? Back to the statistics. Only 30% of that Gen X crowd who were born Catholic actually affiliate themselves with our Catholic Church. So if we do some quick math, we realize that we're going from just over 13 million baby boomers showing up Catholics to just under 5 million from the Gen X crowd who are showing up. It represents a huge drop in Catholic identity. So many millions within the next big generations don't think the Catholic Church is relevant or necessary. They think we, the Roman Catholic clergy, screw things up so badly that they cannot bring themselves to walk through those doors on their own. And the next generation down, the millennials, are even less connected to the church. It's not looking good for dear old mom. Catholic parishes in many places in this country are being what they call merged or clustered. We are not immune here at St. Peter either. We have the advantage of a boom area, economic growth, and the development of our area is really growing, but we share the same disadvantage of these trends with every other church in America, which is everywhere you go, there is a loss of Catholic identity. What is Catholic identity? We are our brother's keeper. Catholics act out our faith. We don't just talk about it. We love our neighbor as ourselves. If we don't reach out to these unchurched people of these potentially lost generations, if we don't take the time to invite them and welcome them into this church, they will only know what happens in the Catholic Church through what others tell them. That's how we got here. We got grouped with other Christian faiths, and everybody thinks we believe exactly what the other Christian faiths believe. Who's going to tell them that St. Peter is a safe place to raise their family? Who's going to tell them that this is their calling? They might never have the sacraments in their lives. They may never have an opportunity to experience Christ's true presence in the Eucharist. Without the church, they will only view Christ through a loose and ever-changing spirituality that they make up themselves as they go along, influenced by whatever it is, whatever movie they just saw. They will have no true foundation of faith and no experience of the one true church that Christ himself established. Your Holy Mother, the Church. Now I'm not worried because I know how the story ends, right? Jesus will prevail. Our guy wins. The second reading makes it clear that Jesus already took care of the greater victory. He did that once for all when he offered himself. So don't think I'm saying Mom is dying. She'd give me a little smack on the back of the head for saying that. This church will thrive, and the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it, because we are the people of the one true faith, the one that was set apart by Christ himself. But we are, each one of us, called by our baptism to be disciples of Christ, to show the way for others. It's not just me and Deacon Stephen and Father Don and our noble servers over there that do it. That's the third element of the love God, love others, and make disciples mission statement that is our calling as a church. Making disciples, bringing others to Christ is why we exist as a church. And when we lose our why, we lose our way. We are witnessing a gradual but steady decline in Catholic identity in the United States, with more people identifying as former Catholics than actual practicing, showing up Catholics. Now we need to refocus if we want our dear mother, the church, to thrive on our watch. How do we do that? That scribe in the gospel really nailed it when he told Jesus, responded back, that to love God with all your heart, with all your understanding, with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself is worth more than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. Think about that. Taking care of Holy Mother Church is not about building up credits in heaven. It's not about making large financial contributions. It's not. It's about stepping in and helping to build the kingdom by loving God and making disciples. That's why we exist as a church. Let's not lose our why, because, right, when we lose our why, we lose our way. The greatest way to share our faith and make disciples is as simple as an invitation. Even those who don't practice any faith or have lost their faith still feel the need to connect with God and bring purpose to their lives. Be that messenger to invite them to Mass or to come home to their Catholic church. It all starts with an invitation. They call it invest and invite. Invest your time to build a relationship with them. Odds are you already have a relationship with them. And then pray for them, and then invite them. Let them know that Mom misses them and wants them to come home. Next week, come back and hear about our plan of action.